Hello and welcome to the first episode of season 2 of HD Movie Talk. We're restarting. It basically means nothing, but we're back. We're going to be every single week. And as always, I'm joined by my beautiful co-host, my wonderful friend, and
You absolutely.
he's American. It's
I
Harlan.
am. Never. I'll get into. I have a note about the American thing that we'll get into in today's episode.
You're
It
not
wouldn't make sense to
American.
bring it up now.
Have you recently done a DNA test and you're like, I'm 100% Canadian?
Yeah, that's me. I give off Canadian energy. How dare you say that to me? How dare you say that?
I'm sure that's a compliment.
Mm, I mean, Canada isn't even real. So
Okay. Moving on today, to start off our new iteration of this show. I don't know what I'm talking about. To start off our new iteration of this show, we're talking about a new iteration of a different show, similar successfulness, and that's Doctor Who.
yeah, we're pretty close. You guys probably haven't heard of it, but Doctor Who is like this indie British show.
Yeah, it's pretty underground. And we're actually talking
Yeah.
about the 60th anniversary, which are 3 specials. Harlan, do you want to tell me about your history with Doctor Who?
So back in like sixth grade, I watched like the first 2 episodes of the reboot of Doctor Who with Christopher Eccleston.
Yeah, quote unquote.
Am I, am I right? Okay, quote unquote reboot. And then I stopped. And then about a month ago, 2 months ago,
Yeah,
something at that timeline, I watched the finale of
Jodie Whittaker.
Jodie
Whittaker.
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 And her, and it was possibly the most confusing hour of television I had ever seen.
So if you want to hear, it's The Power of the Doctor is the episode he watched, which was for the the 80th anniversary of the BBC or 100th. I can't remember. It was for an anniversary of the BBC. It's Jodie Whittaker's last episode. Um, at the time, I probably said this in the episode. At the time, I watched that episode with one of my housemates who has never seen an episode of Doctor Who, and they were really confused. And I was like, "This is great content." So I made Harlan watch it. You made a TikTok about it, got some hate of people being like, "Why are you watching this as the first episode you're watching?" But it was fun. It was a fun episode. Go back.
It was a fun episode
if you want to. But as promised in that episode, maybe as threatened in that episode, we're continuing our Doctor Who rewatch with the 3 specials of the 60th anniversary. If you're like Harlan, you don't know a lot about Doctor Who, I'll give you a quick quote unquote refresh. So these 3 specials are made by the showrunner who originally made the Eccleston and David Tennant series of Doctor Who, which everyone was like, oh, these are the best ones, blah, blah, blah. So they're going back to the old guy. He's making 3 specials, and now he's making the new Doctor Who after this, which actually is starting with series 1. I don't know if you knew that.
What do you mean starting with series 1?
Ncuti Gatwa's first series is going to be called series 1.
And what was the last season called?
14? 13?
Oh,
so I think they're resetting it because now it's on Disney Plus.
interesting.
They don't want to alienate people who are going to click on it and go, oh, I don't want to watch series 15 of this show, you know?
Yeah.
So they're resetting it for the 3rd time. Well, 2nd time, but it's the 3rd series 1. This is confusing. Doctor Who is confusing. It stars David Tennant, who is the 14th Doctor, who is also the 10th Doctor, and Catherine Tate. Do you know who Catherine Tate is? Like,
oh yeah, she's Nellie from The Office.
yeah. Do you know her from anything else other than The Office and Doctor Who?
No, and see that's tough because I despise her in The Office.
Yeah, I really
like
don't.
she is the worst character they've introduced in The Office. I would argue.
Yeah, but she is a really great, like very popular British comedian.
Really?
Yeah, she's very well liked of it. It's like you saying Rob Brydon's the guy from Holmes and Watson. It's the equivalent of you saying.
Well, no. It's Ken. It's
Yeah,
Sugar Daddy Ken now.
Sugar Daddy Ken. I'm glad we've got that connection now. Anyway, should we actually start talking about the specials?
Yeah, I took notes.
Did you?
I took notes.
I
yes.
didn't. They're all up here.
I must say,
Yeah.
just I'm gonna say this multiple times. Every single special was so much easier to digest than the 100th anniversary.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. I
I
think it
think
was
so.
100th.
Yeah. Of the BBC.
And it's like in the very beginning of episode one, it treats you. It starts holding your hand because they just give you a recap
Yeah.
of everything that's
I
happened.
like I don't know why I just it's the Fortnite loading screen, David Tennant just standing in front of the green screen. But it is, yeah, it's useful.
It's not anything special, but I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of how the Doctor works, so I was able to pick at scraps
Yeah.
during the 100th anniversary special to sort of get an idea of what was going on. I didn't really, but this one definitely was
Can
lot nicer for me.
can you please give me just a brief summary of what you think the story between the Doctor and Donna is pre this,
From this, or like prior to me seeing this,
prior to this 60th?
like honestly, all I knew was that she was his companion.
And what do you know now?
That like they're friends, but like family, and that she became the Doctor for a second, but then her child was able to stop the power. But there's something there's a I think that's the most confusing part. There's a lot with Rose that I don't understand at
I mean
all.
Donna.
No,
Rose.
I mean Rose.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Sorry, you're talking about the daughter, because also
Yes.
there's Rose is the like most well-known David Tennant companion.
What? There's another companion?
Yeah, it's kind of because so the first companion in New Who, the blonde with Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant, is called Rose.
Oh,
And to jump ahead a little bit, there is a point in this episode where they're like, "Oh, she's called Rose because she chose her own name, and she has the bit of the Doctor's mind in her."
oh. See, I didn't get that at all.
Yeah. So before this episode, like the yeah, Donna like absorbed the mind of the Doctor into her mind, but it was like killing her because the Doctor's so smart. So the Doctor made her forget everything, and the whole thing basically ended with the Doctor being like, if she ever remembers me, she's gonna die. And that's the last time we saw Donna. Harlan, what are your thoughts on the first special?
This is the first special.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I
Mhm.
thoroughly enjoyed it. A little bit of betrayal. I was hurt. This
Yeah.
episode hurt me, and we'll get into that as I go through my notes.
Okay.
Um, but I do think so. This next note I have, I do think it's important to note that the only real experience of Doctor Who that I have is the 100th anniversary special.
Mhm.
So like just with that, I don't have a lot of faith in this show's writing.
Yeah, that's awful. Yeah, not a good episode.
So my next note is, oh, of course, the lady holding boxes, the first person he runs into happens to be Donna.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was a late. They make it not a lazy writing point because it's
Yeah.
all like. But at first, I was very disappointed by that.
Mhm.
The CGI looks loads better.
Yeah. That's the Disney money.
That's the Disney money. Um, and then there's an alien on the loose. A kid runs up to Rose and goes, "There's an alien on the loose," and then runs away. And that made me laugh.
It's so
They
funny.
also,
I don't notice these little cheesy moments in Doctor Who. Like literally, that just did not occur to me at all. Just because I feel like this kind of thing is bred into me that I'm just like, yeah,
no, 100%. Like if I watched a show my entire childhood, I'd be able to flick my mode into it's time to watch Doctor Who
yeah,
now. It's
yeah,
just kind of like watching the original Star Wars trilogy.
yeah.
It's like, the dialogue, it's not great.
Hmm.
Or just watching Star Wars in general.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like it's not great, but we love it. And then this might be where you start to understand my sense of betrayal.
Okay.
My next note is in all caps.
Hmm.
Cute alien.
Yeah.
Um, cool wand tech. The sonic screwdriver.
Hmm.
That was cool.
It never does
How
any.
it was
It's never done any of this stuff before. The stuff it
Like
does in
how
the
he was
episode.
able to make like his Tony Stark like
Yeah.
screen. That
Yeah.
was freaking cool, and it
That,
looked
that,
sick too.
that was a bit controversial, I think.
Really? Why?
Just because it's like, oh, the yeah, it's not they're like, oh, but it hasn't done that stuff before and now it's doing it, but also who cares?
Isn't the whole point that like every new Doctor can do new stuff?
Sort of. Do you know what the most controversial stuff about this episode was though?
What?
That there's a disabled and a transgender woman in it.
Who's transgender?
Do you not Rose?
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I was very confused.
Yeah, the actress is transgender and so is the character.
That makes sense
Mm.
because I was very confused with the ending
Yeah.
because I was like, what? And then, have we seen that girl in a wheelchair before or no?
No, she's new.
Okay.
Like the organization unit is very common, but
Um, but anyway, how he also with the sonic screwdriver. Oh yeah, I put down cool wand tech because I couldn't remember the name of the sonic screwdriver.
you're gonna upset so many people right now. But yeah,
To be fair, I was watching this at like 1 a.m.
this is also why we're doing this. I think is
Yeah,
just,
it's
it's the
I don't know what
contrast.
Doctor Who is,
It's the
so
contrast.
but also like that blockade he was able to make with the technology,
Mhm.
that was also cool. They had a weird phone ad with like the flip phone. Do you remember that?
No.
The
I,
lady in the wheelchair gives her his phone
oh
and he opens it like a flip phone
yeah.
and closes it
Yeah.
and like shows off the camera.
Yeah.
Um, and then okay, that was a nothing note, but I was thinking about it, so I put it in my notes. Then I have Meep is annoying, but he's a G.
Hmm.
Meep was really growing on me with the whole like he's in the stuffed animals. That
Yeah.
was really cute.
Then she pokes the eye. That bit made me laugh every time.
If Donna's not supposed to remember anything, why did the doctor remind her what the sonic screwdriver
I know
does?
the doctor kept. I was saying that while watching it because I was getting really stressed out by this.
Yeah, like he really like he knew she would like he was like Donna's gonna die if I do this, but he just kept on doing it.
Do you know what one of my biggest notes about these sort of scenes were?
What?
In the original series that Donna is in, her mum is the most annoying character in the existence of just television. But in this episode, I'm like, she's such a G. Like she's a
Yeah,
real one.
she keeps on trying to save her.
Yeah, and she slaps David Tennant, and he's like, "Oh, back at this again."
Um, but I do think for me viewing it as somebody who doesn't know the show, I think a lot of it was who's the writer of this?
Russell T Davies.
Russell T Davies.
Yeah,
I
RT.
think he was doing a lot of that too. I think the whole idea of this was to pull new people in. That's
Yeah.
what it kind of felt like to me. And so I think that's why it was there.
Do you
Because
know?
Donna,
Do you know what you call it when Russell T Davis returns, like his second time back in Doctor
what?
Who? RTD2. It's not my joke.
That's
Um,
really good. That's really good. But okay, so then this is these next two notes, I
okay.
think you'll get a kick out of. I
Yeah.
have Meep is winning me over, to be honest.
Hmm.
And then the next note
Yeah.
is just betrayal.
It is funny because like general audiences in the UK would have gone through the same thing you did, but I'm just such a big nerd that I'm just like, oh yes, actually, the Meep appeared in a comic book in the 80s and was a villain, and that's the only time the Meep has appeared before. Is in like
Nerd.
is in like
Nerd.
maybe it was like a 70s or 80s. The only reason I know that is because before these episodes came out, they were like, oh, the Meep is going to be in them. And I was like, who's the Meep? And I looked into it. And I was like, oh, they're from a comic book from like the 70s or something. And they're a villain in that.
When the aliens were like, the Meeps are an evil race and he's the last one, I was like, tell me they're wrong. And it goes to Meep and his eyes start to cowl. And I was like,
It is a sick reveal, like the whole voice change and everything.
Yeah, that broke my heart though. It broke my heart. Like I won't watch this episode again because of that.
Did you giggle when David Tennant pulled a wig out of his coat and put it on?
You guys are weird. You guys are weird.
That was a good joke. I don't know why. It just really made me giggle when he did that.
Jesus. So okay, so again, I wrote this at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
And the next note is I need this thing to be brutally executed. What did he do? I think I was really going through it. What did he do
He
after that?
killed two. Well, the Meep killed two guards, and then
Oh yeah, he doesn't use they don't it doesn't Meep doesn't use pronouns. That's
the
right.
Meep uses the definite article as in the Meep. The pronoun joke, I was a bit like, oh, that was a bit cringe.
Well, I didn't understand it.
Yeah,
I just thought like
yeah.
I think there's 10 worse jokes in this 10 in the 100th special.
Yeah. But I'm
So
just compared to the rest of this, I was like, oh, and but part of my reaction is just like people are gonna be so upset online after this episode. I was
yeah, they could be mad. I don't there's some way worse things to be mad
I
over.
agree, it's stupid to be mad about, but there's something in the second episode that like made it to national news, then we can talk about.
But anyways, okay, so this is where me not knowing Doctor Who gets intense. So now we're skipping over to when um so Meep gets in his ship,
Yeah,
and the whole idea is the way he gets power is drilling into the earth and siphoning the earth's power, and he'll be like just destroying all of London
yeah,
if he gets the power from Earth. And so then the Doctor and Donna are in this ship, and is essentially the Doctor is forced to remind Donna of everything that's happened. And then once he does that, considering she took the full power of the Doctor and had to be forced to forget, if she remembers, she dies.
mm-hmm.
And then instantly, not instantly, but the Doctor's like, he recites this code, and then Donna's memory is restored.
Oh yeah,
She doesn't instantly die.
no,
And I think this eventually got answered throughout the show, but it was very confusing to me at the time. It's like, how does she know how to stop the ship?
it's
I
because,
eventually know because she had like the full knowledge of the Doctor, right?
yeah. So they like what happened. This is far too much information to what you need. Basically, the Doctor pretty much he was dying, and Donna was stuck in the TARDIS, and she touched the Time Lord like a severed hand of the Doctor. He did regrow his hand, it's fine, but they touched. That's not something he can usually do. Touch the severed hand of the Doctor, and then that severed hand grew into a half human, half Time Lord clone of the Doctor, who now lives in a parallel universe. And then Donna took all the Time Lord, the Doctor's memories and mind into her.
Okay.
It's a sick episode.
But then my next note is I think I'm missing a lot on this whole Rose situation.
Yeah. So Rose is completely new to these specials.
Okay. When so in when we last left Donna,
Mm-hmm.
did she get married?
Uh no, she was dating whatever his name is, the dad.
So
And
the whole marriage sequence is completely new.
yeah, and
That
she
we see in like the very beginning.
oh no, that's a different wedding to a different guy.
Really?
Two similar looking men, but he turned out to be evil and working for an alien.
But the way they did it made it look like it was that guy.
Yeah, it's not because he was evil, I think.
Side note, is the time gonna run out on the
I'm
Zoom?
trying to sort it out now.
Oh, cool. Um, and then I have like, is Rose like non-binary? Because I did not know what was going on.
Yeah. But the
Because it's
idea
just
is that when Donna gave birth, they like split but the whole thing about them being like, oh, we can just release all this Time Lord energy was a bit stupid. When they
yeah,
were,
I mean,
we can just let go of it. I'm like, okay, that's dumb.
I think the whole point of this episode was to get Donna back.
Yeah,
Like that was
you're
what they're
right.
trying to get
But you
to.
got like they are resolving a massive cliffhanger which happened like 14, maybe 15 years ago.
Was it a cliffhanger or was it just like the end of the show?
Well, yeah, the end of the show, but it's like the resolution of this character and then like trying to undo it.
Yeah. And that seems a. How did you feel about that?
It like I got over it quickly, but it did feel a bit cheap.
It like even as somebody who has had no attachment to these characters, it came off to me as cheap too.
Yeah.
But I was too focused on Meep that I didn't really care.
So overall thoughts on this, like sum up in one sentence, this one special.
Um, I think for me, it's a friendly intro to new Doctor Who watchers.
Yeah, I think it's a fun, simple episode. That's pretty like not like of the time bang average.
You know why Meep betrayed me so much?
Why?
It's like the moment I saw Meep, my Star Wars sensors kicked in,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Oh, this is just cute toy marketing. Nothing is going to happen with this character." And that's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's not what happened.
No,
Okay.
it's not. Okay. I enjoy this.
What would your one sentence summary be?
Yeah, I like fun, average of the time Doctor Who episode. Like it's an average Doctor Who episode for 2009, not an average Doctor Who episode for 2022.
And is that good or bad?
That's good. Like it's back to the original standard. But like my one complaint, like after watching this episode, was I was like, this doesn't feel like special enough. It doesn't feel like a big anniversary thing.
That's yeah. I got a lot of that, especially until special 3. I got a lot of like, I think this is just a special because David Tennant is back.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Are these specials longer than the typical Doctor Who episode?
What are they, an hour? I think that's about.
Yeah, they're 55, like 54 to an hour.
I think that's usually the length because the BBC doesn't have adverts.
Oh, right, because it's kind of like for our American viewers, they're like it's like our PBS.
It's kind of tax funded.
Yeah, that's what PBS is.
So episode 2, the wide blue yonder. Do you want to just give like a 10-second plot summary of this episode?
You got him, man. This one was intense.
The Doctor and Donna are stranded on a spaceship on the very edge of the universe and are attacked by two mysterious creatures from outside the universe that are trying to replace them. Also, we skipped over the best joke in episode 1, which is when Donna spilt the cup of coffee on the TARDIS. I don't know why. It's such a dumb joke, but it really made me laugh. When she goes, "Oh no, I've done it again," and everything starts blowing up. Yeah. Episode 2.
Okay. Episode 2. I have the least amount of notes.
Okay.
For this episode. But it starts off, the TARDIS explodes, then they end up in this weird spaceship.
Yeah. Before we get to that bit, can I just tell you what made the national news about upsetting people?
Sure.
That Isaac Newton was played by a black man. Yeah.
I mean,
who cares? That's
insane.
Yeah.
I didn't think like one thing of it. If anything, the most controversial thing is that some writer had the idea to instead change the name of Gravity to Mavity.
That's a good joke, I think.
But anyways.
But yeah, that's also like a good example of like the cultural relevance of Doctor Who in this country.
Yeah, that's silly.
It is silly. Continue.
So they get stuck on this ship, and then the doctor shoves his sonic screwdriver in the TARDIS to like reset it.
Hmm.
But then the HADS system, which is like an
Yeah.
emergency system, makes the TARDIS disappear. And I thought that was a cool idea. I thought
Yeah,
how they made that
the has
explained,
been around for like 50 years as well. So it's like,
and
yeah.
the idea of like he turned it off, but considering it reset, it
Mm.
turned it back on. I thought that was a cool way to just give the like doctors
Yeah.
powers gone.
Hmm.
Um, and then then they walk down this long corridor, the Donna and Doctor, and they end up in the control room,
Hmm.
and then they realize they're at the edge of the universe.
Yeah.
And I have a note called "Edge of the Universe." Cool. Like I thought that was cool.
He does a cool little speech about how like how far away they are from everything and there's nothing there and blah blah blah. I'm like, that's a cool little scene.
Um, but then this is I got pretty confused here.
Hmm.
Um, because then at that point they go and they try to reset the spaceship to get it
Yeah.
like going again.
Yeah.
And then that's when these monsters come in
Hmm.
and they keep on saying, "My arm's too long," or something like that. And then it turns out they're like these morphing
Yeah, like shaping
creatures.
thing kind of. It was,
Yeah.
I think that is such a cool scene where the doctor is like, Donna comes in and starts having a conversation with the doctor, and you're like, oh, isn't he in the other room? And then Donna goes in and starts having a conversation with the doctor, and it's so creepy. And then they're like, oh, my arms are too long, I think. And they were puppets as well. That was all practical.
Yeah. That was cool. I like how they made like the arms practical. I mean, and then there was like then the doctor like fixes the arm, but his jaw falls down.
Yeah.
Good CGI bits at that point. But then the aliens chase them
Yeah.
and they chase him down a long corridor. And my note is, what in the Apple photo booth hell are those things?
So what I really enjoyed about this episode, I this is my favorite episode of the three, I think. Um, what I really enjoyed about it is there are moments of this episode which are genuinely really unnerving and quite creepy. And then there are moments of it which are just the goofiest thing you've ever seen. And I think it does a very good job of like balancing these two things.
Yeah.
Because this is the kind of thing that like this is classic Doctor Who that like if you ask like an adult, they'll be like, oh yeah, there was this one episode I watched when it was eight, when I was eight, and it was the scariest thing I've ever seen, and I had nightmares about it forever, and I hid behind the sofa the entire time. And you go back and watch the episode, and it's this, and I'm like, that's just classic Doctor Who.
Okay. So then they get in this moment where they're both trying to convince each other that they're not the aliens, but they're like in different rooms, so you know one's an alien, but you're not sure which one's the
Yeah,
alien. I'm gonna regret asking this.
yeah.
How did the Doctor destroy half the universe?
Okay, full disclosure, I am not 100% sure because um because it happened in the bad episodes. Um, so like these kind of ideas, so it's called the Flux, which is like the series long thing that happened, which ended with like half the universe being destroyed. And people were like, oh, now this guy's in charge, he's going to completely ignore the Flux and act like it didn't happen because it was bad. And I'm glad that he's like keeping it and being like, oh no, this did happen and blah blah blah, because I think that makes it more interesting to
Yeah.
like explore these ideas. um but long story short, there's a secret society of Time Lords which controlled everything, and the Doctor used to be a member of before the Doctor had their mind wiped and became the first Doctor. And the current Doctor found out about this organization, and the organization was failing, so they were like, oh, I'm going to destroy the universe and move to another universe. And then they stopped them from destroying the universe.
Okay. Because that was very confusing to me.
Mm.
But then my next moment is, oh no, Donna isn't Donna after heartfelt moment,
Mm.
which we kind of saw coming, but still.
Yeah.
And why my next comment? Why does a fake doctor have to be so sus like that? I
Was
don't
that
know.
when he,
And then
was
my
that when
next
he went
moment
on all
are
fours and
those.
he went down and the head came between the legs?
Oh yeah, that was definitely the moment.
That
That's
like that CGI was pretty good considering like what he was doing is kind of would always look weird. Like there's no way to make that look good. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
yeah. And then the next moment are those aliens were weird. And then I'm actually confused on who's the actual. They did a good job at getting the person, like getting
Yeah,
the viewer confused.
yeah,
Um, and then my next note is I love David Tennant.
yeah. He's so good. It's what I loved about it is how they like slowly do learn things over the episode and they're like slowly getting better and figuring stuff out and that sort of thing.
Yeah. And then there's this moment where they get stuck in the control room and they're trying to make people they're both trying to outsmart each other.
Yeah,
And then it's discovered that the captain killed itself
yeah,
so that the monsters couldn't learn and take over the universe.
yeah,
And I thought that was I don't know, that was just a smart twist and it was just good writing.
yeah,
And I'm like, oh, that's cool.
yeah. This episode really reminds everyone of this one episode with David Tennant called Midnight. And if you were like Dean, like this would be one of like the top 3 episodes I'd recommend because it is completely self-contained and it's like a similar amount of creepiness. And I'm like, it was just good vibes because it reminded me of great episodes. I'm like, yeah, this is good stuff.
It was like if I'm being completely honest,
Hmm.
the 100th anniversary gave me no inspiration to watch any of the show.
Understandable.
Like I was like, I'm never touching this show again. But
Yeah.
like with David, like I get it. I
Yeah.
get why people like this show
Yeah.
after seeing episode 2 for sure.
And this was 100% like it's weird because these 60ths like they didn't really like I said they're not like they don't feel like specials. They feel like lost episodes from 2009, you know?
Mm.
But that's like the charm of it for me and I'm sure a lot of people because it would be like if Spider-Man 4 was released now and it was exactly like the first 3. Like it's that
I do,
kind of charm of like same quality.
I do have a question that I think I should just get into before we get into episode 3 because there's a
Yeah.
lot to talk about for episode 3.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Doctor's design?
The outfit,
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty sick outfit. Like I like it because the whole idea is the 14th Doctor David Tennant is different from the 10th Doctor David Tennant. Like these are 2 different generations.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's slight personality changes. Like this the main thing that is like slightly peaked at is that this Doctor is a lot more like emotionally vulnerable than 10 because
Mm.
he's matured. And I think the outfit is similar enough to his original outfit and different enough to be distinct.
Right. Like there might be some things where just like that vest with one button at the top.
Yeah.
Is that quirky or is that like a bit of like English fashion that I
No,
don't
I think
understand?
that's just quirky.
Okay. I thought that was a little strange.
Yeah,
It
the
looked like it
button.
just
I
didn't
see
fit
what you
him.
mean about the button. It did make me laugh. Like the first thing Donna says is like, "No men over 35 should wear suits."
That was funny.
Yeah.
And did he come out in this episode?
What
The
do you mean?
doctor?
Hmm?
Like the doctor was like saying like Isaac Newton's like hot, like really hot.
The doctors, the doctor is a weird. Like sometimes the doctor is pansexual. Sometimes, most of the time, the doctor's asexual. The doctor's never straight. Like there's so much stuff in Doctor Who, which is like, oh yeah, the doctor's really like they have not much of an awareness of gender because obviously they can just change gender by accident.
Oh, okay.
And like so the master, who is like the main Doctor Who villain, who is also a Time Lord. There's a bit when the doctor is a man and the master is a woman, and he's like, yeah, I used to love her, but she used to be a man back then, and I'm pretty sure I was a man too. And it's stuff like that when he just doesn't even remember what gender he is half the time, and
That's interesting.
like they don't have a concept of that sort of thing because it changes.
Um, so we didn't do this for special 1, but I think we should just real quickly. What would you give special 2 out of 10?
Like a 9.
I think I would give it an 8.
Yeah, yeah.
And what would
I
you give
just love
special
goofy
1?
things, and I like it's goofy and it's also like creepy.
Yeah, and it's well written.
I'd give number 1 like a 7.5.
Yeah, I think I'd give it a 7
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. Okay, the third one, the giggle. There's a lot to talk about.
Yes, there is. My first note is Neil Patrick Harris, German, yeah?
Yeah, he changed. Like, I didn't know this
Okay.
after I watched the episode, but there is a reason why he keeps changing his accent.
Do you remember you're gonna have to think back on this.
Okay.
The beginning of this podcast,
Yeah.
you mentioned how I was American.
Yeah.
I was gonna bring up Neil Patrick Harris. That would have made sense because it's the beginning of the podcast and we're talking about episode 3.
Isn't he?
But
I thought he was Canadian.
I mean, we've been over this. Canada doesn't exist.
Okay. Okay. Neil Patrick
But
Harris.
a Canadian accent is very similar to an American accent.
Yeah. So he changes his accent because in the episodes he's in with the First Doctor beats him by mimicking him. So he keeps changing his accent so he can't be mimicked.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And oh no, we forgot to mention the most important thing about episode 2. I'm sorry to jump back.
What?
So do you know the old man who appeared at the end?
Yeah, who
Donna's
was
grandfather. He is the best character to ever appear in Doctor Who. Okay. So
Okay.
after Donna had her memory wiped and everything, the Doctor went on a few more adventures, and he went on a couple of adventures with Donna's grandfather, who had appeared previously.
Okay.
And obviously he knew about the Doctor, but he couldn't tell Donna and blah blah blah. And he was just like an alien conspiracy theory guy, and he's like, aliens are real, and he was such a sweet man. And the actor was such a sweet man. His name's Bernard Cribbins, and he died about a year ago.
The actor?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
He was like 98 or something. Like he was very old.
I just made a note saying later in episode 3, Donna's grandpa is shooting moles.
Yeah.
And I was confused as to why he wasn't in the episode. But
no, so that yeah, they did say he was only able to he died in 2021 actually. No. Yeah. No, he died in 2022. Sorry, he did die in 2022. And he's a great actor. He's in a lot of British stuff, and he was only able to film one scene because like he wasn't like super healthy.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he's like written out the rest of it, and then like that's the only scene he's in of the whole special, and it just made me so upset.
Wow.
And it made a lot of people so upset because he's just like I'm trying to think of an equivalent, but he's just like such a loved character in this show, despite like not being in it loads. But he's just
Who would be an equivalent?
Yeah, I don't know. He's just such a sweet older man.
Okay.
Yeah, but sorry, I can't not mention him. But
yeah, no, I get it.
Episode 3.
So episode 3, Neil Patrick Harris is a toy maker. Was a toy maker an infamous character before this episode?
No.
Okay.
The toy maker has appeared in one story of Doctor Who, so about 6 episodes in the 60s, and half of those episodes are lost.
Really? That's
a lot of Doctor Who is lost from back then.
The burning doll. So like the toy maker's idea is that he's going to get this doll installed in everybody's mind. Essentially, this doll's laugh. But there's this image, like this shot of a burning doll. That looked cool. I was like, that's sick. They made a funny British politics joke
about everyone hating everyone.
Yeah, and how like the politicians were like,
oh yeah,
everybody's wrong, but I'm right. I don't care about any of you.
And then
something like
Catherine
that.
like, oh, nothing's changed there then.
I was like, ha ha ha. Uh,
Yeah,
funny blonde British man that you guys don't like.
yeah.
What's his name?
Boris Johnson.
Boris Johnson. I knew that. Um, when did they start singing? Oh yeah, they started singing the arpeggio.
Yeah. Ha 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 ha.
And I was like, that's cringy. It made me cringe. Like physically, I was like, oh.
Did you actually? What did you think?
Oh,
Go on.
okay. So okay, this might get me some hate.
Hmm.
And you might look at me differently about this.
Yeah.
And it might be because of Nelly.
Yeah.
Donna kind of gets on my nerves a little bit.
There's a lot. You're not like I have friends who would say that.
But
What was it? Is there like something specific that you remember writing that down for?
no, well, no, but there was a lot of, I would say passive aggressive notes in my notes
Yeah.
about Donna.
Hmm.
Just I think that's like I like her jokes weren't hitting for me,
Yeah.
and I was just, but I said Donna had her first legit good bit with the salary raise because
That
they're
was
walking.
yeah. I'm like, she is unmatched for that. That was such a legendary move.
It's like, so for people who haven't seen or whatever, they're at this military base. Right? They're
Unit.
at this military base, and the military lady says to Donna, "You should work here." And then Donna's like, "Oh, what's the salary?" And she's like,
60
£60,000. And then Donna's like, 120 in paid vacation.
a
And she's
two
like,
weeks
deal.
vacation. Yeah.
And then Donna just goes, and I thought that was funny.
And they were like, deal. And then I was like, yeah, that's just her. The thing about Catherine Tate is outside of like Doctor Who, she's probably most well known for like playing this character in comedy sketches whose whole thing is just to be really annoying and abrasive. So like that is part of her personality deliberately.
I honestly, I think a lot of it is, I think she kind of has like absurdist British humor.
Yeah.
And I have absurdist American humor. And for what I've learned from you and what you've learned from me is that those are two completely different things.
Yeah. We
Um,
find each other deeply unfunny.
deeply.
Yeah. I'm just unlikable. Continue.
But I think that's maybe why I don't vibe with Catherine Tate as much
Yeah.
as other people do.
Yeah. I have friends who would agree with you in this country.
But are they like sexist friends?
No,
Okay.
they're like they'll be like Donna's my least favorite companion, which still is to a certain extent because all the companions are women.
Okay. Oh, so then my next note.
Mhm.
So they eventually find out that whoever's doing this laughing thing
Yeah.
is in the 1920s. So they travel back, they go into this toy shop, and then the doctor tells Donna to go back to the TARDIS.
Mm.
That was a really cool moment.
It-
I've seen it in some adverts.
Yeah.
What am I doing? Advertisements, commercials. I've seen it in some commercials.
Yeah.
But that was like that was a good. It was effective, and it made me realize that the toy maker is like a force to be reckoned with.
And I also really like I don't like colorized flashbacks. They're not really flashbacks, but like when the
Yeah,
doctor looks at the toy maker, his face turns into the first doctor's face, the toy maker's turns into the toy maker's face. And
which was good for somebody like me who
yeah.
like did.
And they'd been colorized well as well. Like I bet you didn't even
Yeah.
realize they were colorized.
Did not.
Yeah, because it was all black and white. Interesting thing about the toy maker, I think the reason why he never returned was because in the original it was just low-key racist Chinese man,
Mm.
but low key, not like
Um, but then the toy makers like next game. Okay, they play a game of catch, which I hope won't come back later. And then they do another game of hide and seek, and Donna and the doctor go after him, and then it turns out they're in this long hallway of just random doors, and
Yeah.
instantly, I was like, they better like hold hands, tie each other together, something.
I
'Cause
did. I said that as well.
and
Yeah,
then what do you know?
they get split up.
They get split up. Who could have seen this coming?
Hmm.
And then so the puppet bit with David Tennant was creepy.
Yeah, when the guys
Where yeah, like they make a guy a puppet after being cursed and it was creepy. But then we get to Donna's scene. You've seen Polar Express, right?
yeah.
Do you remember that scene in Polar Express where the kid goes into like the banished toy car and
Yes,
Scrooge is there?
yes.
That scene scared the poop out of me when I was a kid.
Hmm.
And it wasn't a rare occurrence for me to ask my mom to skip it.
Yeah.
I was getting Polar Express flashbacks from this scene.
Like, did it freak you out a bit?
It freaked me out a little. I mean, it was, it
Yeah.
wasn't like actually scary.
No, that's what I mean. Doctor Who is the kind of thing, like, if you watch this when you're like 10 years old, you understand why it's terrifying.
Yeah, that would have freaked me out if I was 10 years old.
Like, that's the thing about Doctor Who. It terrifies children across the nation, and they just parents still just get their kids to watch it every week.
But there was a specific moment where I snapped out of it.
Mm.
It's when Donna holds the toy
Mm.
and goes, "My name's Donna, and now I think that you're a goner," and then throws the dog.
Just whacks it against the wall.
I'm just saying, if you're a part of the anti-Donna club, that was a tough line to swallow. My name's Donna, and now you're gonna be a goner.
Yeah, the joke is that the doll was rhyming the whole time.
What?
The joke was that the doll was rhyming the whole time the doll was speaking.
Well, I think my brain clicked off with that because it was a doll.
Yeah, no, you are right. I thought the same thing. And then they reunite, the Doctor and the Donna.
Yes. What happens when they reunite?
They get a little puppet show of previous things that have happened in Doctor Who.
Oh, right.
You like Amelia Pond. You like the redheads, yes. And then he goes through Amy Pond, Clara Oswald, Bill Potts, and the Flux. And it's basically those are the three companions that came immediately after Donna Noble. And they all it's funny, like some people have said this is a criticism of Stephen Moffat. Do you know, does that name
Is that
ring?
the writer that people don't like?
No, he's the one in between the one they don't like and
Oh, okay.
So Stephen Moffat's the guy that wrote Sherlock.
We like him, right?
He's pretty good. Like, yeah, like I have complaints about his stuff, but like all of his companions, he did this thing where they died, but oh no, it's fine because they're living on in like this point of time or blah blah blah. Like he does that thing with all of them, and then this is kind of like a criticism on that when he's like, well, that's all right then.
Yeah, that was a cool scene.
Yeah, and it's creepy, and and when you're watching it, you're like, "Ooh, I know these people. I know what happened."
But then they go back to
No, they play a card game.
Oh, they do play a card game.
And he does a cool little speech where he's like, "I've played gods in these games, and I played the master, and I got him trapped in my tooth."
Oh, the master stuck in his tooth.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And that like
I forgot that.
And then they play a card game, and then like best of three, and then he gets sent back to the modern day.
And then they go. Then Neil Patrick does this like lip sync.
Yeah.
Which I have lip sync battle in my notes.
What did you think of this scene?
I went from loving to hating it very quickly, like back and forth.
Mm,
There are moments that were really cool, like when the army men were rushing towards him and
yeah.
he turned them into balls, and the doctor's just like, "They're dead.
Mm.
So sorry. Time to move on."
And like where he just keeps reappearing in different places around the room.
Yeah, and the music was cool and the imagery was cool. What are your thoughts on Neil Patrick Harris in this show? In
I
this
think
show specifically?
I think he's good in this. I think he's really good here. I think he really does deliver on this chaotic energy. Like the whole thing with the toy maker. And like if you're doing a villain who has literal god powers and can do whatever they want, you have to like obviously come up with a way of limiting that. And his way is like he has rules he follows, and his goal is chaos, not to like kill the doctor.
Mm,
And I think yeah, they sell that really well. Just how like he's just an agent of chaos and he just wants to play games and blah blah blah. I think that element works really well.
yeah. But then the the toy maker gets on a laser cannon
Yeah,
outside and he shoots the doctor,
yeah,
and the doctor starts to die, and the toy maker goes, "Handmaidens." And I thought that was funny, so I made a note of that.
yeah.
Then the doctor dies, but he comes back.
But he doesn't regenerate how he usually regenerates.
He doesn't regenerate how he usually regenerates. He's pulled apart, and
Mm.
there's two doctors.
Ah!
That was spoiled for me before I saw the
Yeah,
thing.
like I could talk about for an hour about this bi-generation thing because it's never like even been hinted at before. Like it's a completely new thing, and it's very fascinating. And I'm like, I don't have an opinion whether I like it or I don't like it yet, because like we don't like I need to know more rules of it first. Like we don't really like it's never really explained what happens.
Um, I think it's because the entire idea. Well, yeah, let's talk about the by generation now. We might as well.
Shooty Gatwa is there.
Yes, the
Yeah.
entire idea is that because the doctor's exhausted,
Mm.
so he needs to go take a break.
Yeah.
But the new doctor is also the same exact doctor, and he's not taking a break.
But he like they word it as in he's from the future because they're like, oh, at one point he says that he's the older one.
Right, but isn't he the older one because now he's the 15th doctor?
Yeah, but like so the what I like how I read this isn't like I've got two options here. Number one, how I think it's implied, and number two, what I want it to be. How I think it's implied is that so the 14th Doctor and the 15th Doctor split. The 14th Doctor goes and lives his normal life. He regenerates at some point, and then when he regenerates, he gets pushed back to this moment of the bi-generation. So, like, the older one has already experienced, so Ncuti Gatwa, the 15th Doctor, has already experienced everything the 14th Doctor's experienced. Because he's
Mm,
like, oh, I'm fine now. Because I went, because you took some time off. That's kind of what's stated.
okay.
The idea that I like, because that's confusing. Like, I can tell in your face that's confusing, you know?
Well, that's kind of what I was understanding too.
Yeah. But the idea I prefer is that the Doctor kind of sheds his trauma. And like, I think the whole idea is the bi-generation is possible because like there's toy maker weirdness about, you know? Because at one
Mm,
point they say bi-generation is a Time Lord myth.
right.
And so these weird like these myths are happening because the toy maker's about. And I like the idea that he just sheds his trauma. And like they're the same age. And then there's just like one guy walking around who has all the baggage and then the other guy doesn't.
What I the first one I think makes like that's what I was kind of the
Yeah.
understanding of, but it was more of like at a certain point, like the David Tennant Doctor will die,
Yeah.
and then the new Doctor will just like inherit everything
Yeah.
that happened to him, and then just kind of
Yeah.
subconsciously be able to have that.
Yeah. It is a weird choice. So if you David Tennant had three companions. He had Rose, then Martha, than Donna, and he fell in love with Rose, and like that was like the first like deeply in love with Rose, and then Rose gets sealed away in a parallel universe. And then I mentioned earlier on in an episode there was a half human, half Time Lord Doctor David Tennant created. He then went to live with Rose in the parallel universe. So it's a bit weird now because Rose has her own personal David Tennant Doctor, and Donna has her own personal David Tennant Doctor. That's 2/3 of David Tennant's companions have their own David Tennant to hang out with. So like it's kind of a thing that sort of happened before.
Interesting. But like not really.
In a different way, yeah. It's weird because like the Russell T Davies has said, oh yeah, we've got zero plans to have David Tennant return at the moment. Which number one, I respect and I prefer because you want the show to be about Ncuti.
Right. He was I'm if we do another one of these episodes, I'm excited to see his Doctor.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a whole thing. That what I did like about Russell said he did this because he said regenerations, like there's been like 15 of them or however many, have always been sad things, and he wanted to do one which was happy.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a cool idea. But yeah, I think Ncuti's really fun in this. I think he's got a good energy. The next episode is Christmas Day, so I'm looking forward to watching the Christmas episode.
So something that occurred to me while all this was happening was David Tennant doesn't have any underpants on.
No, the entire time he's just commando.
And I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, because they split their clothes down the middle. But it's also funny that Ncuti's just running around in his underwear for.
Yes, that is for his entire stay on the episode.
Yeah.
And the one thing I don't like about the toy maker is that he loses to a game of catch.
It is a bit weird.
Like,
it's anticlimactic.
Yeah, after everything that happened, like everything the toy maker was proven to be able to do, he loses because he can't catch a ball. Like, I guess there's like some like meaning to that, but like
I have to follow the rules and I'm not going to cheat. But
I don't know.
I think it's a good joke in the episode earlier on when they're like playing the card game, and Donna goes, "Oh, but he's just going to cheat," and they both turn around and they're both so offended by this idea. They're like, "He's not going to cheat." I'm like, that's a good little joke.
And my final note was, who was the golden tooth? But then it was the master.
It's the master. So. It's okay. Yeah, it's weird. Every regeneration episode, other than this, you get like literally maximum of 10 seconds with the new Doctor. It's like how much of David Tennant you saw in the last episode you watched. Like he says a line and then the episode ends. So it was very weird seeing more of Ncuti, but I liked it. I'm excited to see more of Ncuti.
And to be fair, I think you kind of had to for this one. Like you can't just like say there's 2 doctors now and then end the episode.
Yeah,
like that'd be tough. You could, but that'd just be tough.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to his new season, and I'm looking forward to the Christmas special.
So, what would you give a special 3 out of 10?
8, I think.
8. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
What would you give this? All 3 specials out of 10.
I think I'm gonna have to go with an 8 because I gave like a 7, an 8, and a 10. A 7, an 8, and a 9. So I think like an 8 out of 10 overall.
I think 8 out of 10 is very deserving. If you're somebody who hasn't seen Doctor Who before and like is kind of overwhelmed by everything you have to get through, which I definitely was, and that's why I haven't watched the show, this is definitely a good thing to watch. Like, it might you can watch this and have a good time and then feel confident in your understanding of Doctor Who.
And like that's what it's designed for.
For sure.
Yeah. And also moving forward, because obviously the next season is season quote unquote 1, that it is 100% designed to be like a jumping off point.
Yeah.
Especially now it's on Disney Plus for you.
What's the time for? Is just BBC?
BBC iPlayer is the name of their.
Oh, it's not even on Disney Plus for you?
No. But like BBC is free. Like their streaming service is free.
That's nice. I wonder how they do that. Well, that's a lot of money.
So like it's not like we have to pay to watch it. Technically, you have to pay for your TV license, which I definitely pay.
Good. Or else I'd have to report you to the king.
Yeah. Okay. Any closing thoughts? Do you think you're going to watch the Christmas special?
Maybe.
Yeah. That's a
It's
lot more of a
if there was a Christmas special with Jodie Whittaker's,
Hmm?
I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
I'm not watching that. But like that's just like from what I've understand, like that is like the most confusing era of the Doctor.
Yeah, 100%.
So
the special is introducing his new companion, which the fact about his new companion, which has deeply upset me, is that she is younger than me. And
wow,
that just makes me feel old.
Wow, you're so old, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Next week, we're talking about Rebel Moon, and we'll be
Yes.
fixing that film. And I know what you're thinking, Dean. The film's not out yet. How do you know it needs fixing? I've seen it. It needs fixing. Okay.
We should talk about your premiere experience too,
We
because
will.
I'm
We will.
interested to
It's
learn
not
about
an
that.
awful film. I think I enjoyed it more than a lot of people. It's not an awful film, but I think it'll be a very easy film to silver line.
Excellent. That's what we like to hear.
Yeah. I've got a question for you. So
Mm-hmm.
the toy maker,
Mm-hmm.
he did like a German accent, he did like a French accent, he did a Swiss, he did like a tiny bit of an American accent.
Mm-hmm.
What accent do you think was missing from his repertoire?
It's kind of niche,
Mm-hmm.
okay? But I think he was missing.
I like the idea of a niche accent. Cool.
Yeah, I think he was missing like a super 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 stupid American trying to do an Italian accent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What would that sound like?
So hold on.
Mm-hmm.
I just have to like imagine being
A stupid American.
on the side of the Empire State Building.
Okay. That's a callback to last week's episode.
Boof.
Okay. My answer is Mamma mia, well that's all right then.
Talk about the chocolate.
The chocolate.
Talk about the chocolate.
What?
The line. The chocolate line.
What? I actually don't remember the chocolate line.
Don't mix.
Oh, never confuse shit with chocolato. They may look the same, but they taste very different. Trust me, I know. I thought you were talking about the toy maker, and I haven't seen these episodes since they came out, so I was like desperately racking my brain.
No. It was a much more stupid request.
Okay. Well, thank you for listening, everyone.
Adios.
Next week. And I just want to let you know that I love each and every one of you.
I love each and every one of you too. Besides you, Jack.
I thought you were about to say Dean. That's really sad. Okay, bye, Jack.
All right, Jack.